What's up, Guardians? Today's episode is on Keybind theory. It should be a shorter one, and unfortunately much less applicable to my controller brethren, though some of the basic outlining theory is exactly the same. The specific parts will be pretty irrelevant to you though. I'm making this partly because it's a good thing to know about. Many people don't seem to think about it. A friend asked me about keybinds in the past, and a different friend more recently had to rebind some stuff when I was teaching him how to quick swap or quick draw glitch. So what are the basic premises of keybind theory? Well, number one is to have as many actions as you can that need to be performed at the same time accessible. So as an example, it's not a good idea to have my aim down sight key bound to C, which I hit with my thumb, and then also bind my fire key to V, which I also need to hit with my thumb. If I do something like this, I'm now unable to aim and fire at the same time unless I give up access to my movement keys, my WASD or something, to lay multiple fingers on it. This premise is exactly why many controller players across many FPS games have learned to either claw grip or switch layouts, so they can still keep control of their camera or crosshair while doing things like jumping, reloading, and using abilities. Number two is mostly a mouse and keyboard thing. You do not want to bind actions that require precise aim onto your mouse. This is because you do not want to really squeeze your mouse. You want to have a generally relaxed and secure grip. You don't want to squeeze it like you're trying to keep an actual angry mouse in your hand. The other thing is that this is your device that you're trying to make precise flicks and have perfect tracing with. Imagine if I told you to grab a pen and draw a line as straight as you can on a piece of paper. Now imagine I'm telling you to apply pressure to different parts of the pen, or press buttons on this pen as you try and draw this straight line. It's disturbing your grip, right? So your line isn't going to be as straight and perfect as it would be if you just kept the same grip and focused on nothing but drawing the line. That disturbing of your grip is what's happening every single time you press any mouse button. Now the left and right click aren't quite as bad. They're designed to be very easy to click, they're large, and they require downward force, which isn't moving the mouse anywhere. Unlike a side button, which is pushing the mouse in a single direction. So what do you do to stop the mouse from moving out in the other direction? You grip it harder, or you apply equal pressure on the other side. And now we don't have a relaxed and secure grip. Do you get where I'm going with this? If you look at some of the most impressive FPS players who've ever played any game, look at professional Quake players. A lot of them, they don't even have fire and zoom bound to their mouse. They completely keep that on the keyboard because they don't want their aim disturbed whatsoever by anything. Then they keep the mouse just for aiming. So those are the two things that you actually need to know. You can go away and customize your bindings to follow those two rules now, and you'll be fine. Next up, I'm going to go through my personal bindings and why I've set them up this way if you have no idea where to start or you want to know what I'm running. Right, now we're in game. Let's go through these binds. So, if you care about my sensitivity, it's 410, my DPI is 700 at the moment. So, we got standard movement keys, WASD. Emote 1 is X, which I generally bind to salute, which is my, if other people are scumbag 3-peeking emoting at me, then that's on X so I can do it back. Fire, reload, pretty standard. E, not sure if that's the standard melee, but that's what I use. Got hold zoom instead of toggle because it's faster. Like it's just one less click that you need to do. Basically never use swords. Jump on scroll wheel down so I can skate, like with a Titan for example, or with a Warlock upstairs. And standard. Hold sprint. Again, faster, more control. Hold crouch so you can teabag shot faster. I use C because I find it very difficult to hit control repeatedly if I'm like teabagging quite fast. With my pinky finger, just dies, and especially with you slide all over the place in this game, so it's kind of rough doing that. Class ability is on my side mouse button generally, where air move would be. It's only on top tree Dawnblade. I switch that and use I use 3 as my class ability instead, because Rift isn't a super kind of heat of the moment thing that you're doing constantly, and my muscle memory with dodge works well with air move. Interact is Alt, so I can strafe around and fight while rezzing teammates and things like that. Grenade on my side mouse button as well. Super is F. got 1 and 2. I never use 1 really. I use 2 if I'm switching from my power weapon and I want to switch back to my beloved, for example, or I wanted to switch back to Awakening Vigil, that kind of thing. Switch to power weapon because I use switch weapon as the switch weapon key is Q. This is what I normally use, but you have to hold it to switch to power weapon, so hitting a separate key is just faster than holding it. That's the reason I've got that. And that's pretty much everything. Alrighty, now we're back in game, and I'm using OBS in order to have a keyboard overlay on the screen and show you some of the things as we talk through some stuff. I apologize if the video quality is a bit worse, and it's a little choppier and stuff. I usually use Shadowplay, but I can't get this overlay on it. So one thing to note here is that keybinds are very personal. You might have a differently sized hand to me, so something I do, like hitting C with my thumb in order to crouch, might be difficult for you, while hitting Control with your little finger could be easy where that's hard for me. The other thing is that certain sacrifices pretty much always have to be made. The main things that are super relevant with my bindings are that my interact key is Alt. This allows me to res a teammate in elimination, or grab heavy, or defuse a bomb in countdown while I'm still fighting and moving the entire time. I've seen many streamers and such bind this to their mouse, which I don't think is a good idea because of what we talked about earlier with death gripping. Can you trust yourself to be holding revive in a high pressure 2 or even 3v1, trying to get that perfect snipe off? As you micro strafe to get that last 0.2 seconds that you need to complete it, and not ever death grip your mouse. Your keyboard doesn't require precise input. You can click it softly, you can mash the hell out of it, and it won't really make a difference to its performance other than its longevity. On the other hand, the thing that I give up by binding interact to Alt with my setup is that crouching while grabbing a res, because I use C normally, is not easy for me. I have to use my backup control key, but it means that my strafe gets worse and things because I have to contort my hand in a way that I'm not used to. I've chosen this setup as it's the best that I could work it through with binds that I have literally 10 years of muscle memory on, and what's hard for my hand to do. Other pretty key ones are that my melee is E. This is an action that has tracking. It doesn't require me to really strafe while doing it, because as soon as I hit the melee key, I get a lunge, and I'm locked into that lunge. I can't strafe during my lunge, I just go straight forward and back. So the only keys I really need to be able to hit alongside melee at any one time are forward or back, like if I'm jumping backwards and meleeing somebody, or I'm pushing forwards and meleeing somebody. Finally, the other big ones are what I actually do bind to my mouse. For me, it's grenade and class ability. If I'm a hunter dodging, I need directional input but not precise aim. Same thing with warlock dodges. You need to be able to do things like dodge and turn to go around a corner and get away from people with shotguns, things like that, but you don't need to be hitting super precise planes left and right in order to dodge. Barricade, again, just needs a general direction that you're going to face while doing it, and Rift requires nothing, because it's a stationary ability. The other key is Grenade, which again, isn't something that requires super precise aim. I need to hit a general area, not some super precise pinpoint pixel perfect little target. And almost never do you really need to snake a grenade through some ridiculous tiny pixel perfect gap either. The final thing here that I would refer to is the fact that I have weapon switch bound to Q. One thing that's good about this, I mean, you don't have to bind it to Q, but one thing that is good about the location of it for me is that I can quick swap very easily with this binding. What you need to do to quick swap is you sprint, which requires forward on W and shift for sprint, and then you need to swap weapons and stop sprinting like this. And the place that my binds are set up means that this is very easy to do for me. So as you'll see if you ever watch any of my gameplay, pretty much every single time I switch my weapons, I am quick swapping, and this is one of the main reasons that I think that Ophidian aspects are a trash exotic, because with a mechanical thing that you can do on every single class, every single time that you switch weapons, even if you start jumping into the air, the only place that you can't do it is if you start falling out of the air. With that one simple trick that doctors hate, you can have Ophidian aspects all the time. The only thing it affects is your reload on your sniper rifle or your shotgun. That's it. Not even your primary if you have any actual primary loaders that you're using. Especially not 2 normal loaders or an enhanced. It's literally 2 frames of difference. So overall, I hope that gave you some ideas, some things to think about that could potentially improve your gameplay and your own bindings and let you do more things that you need to be able to do at the same amount of time so you can increase your APM. And with that, get to it, get slaying, and happy hunting. If you enjoyed the video, drop me a like. And if you want to see more, consider subscribing.